All right, that's it. Grading's over. It's done. That's what it kind of feels like lately, at least, especially after PSA yesterday just announced that, just like TAG, they are going to be freezing several of their more accessible value/standard grading tiers. In today's video, we are going to be floating a couple of theories regarding some potential impacts that all of these changes could have on the grading landscape. But before we get into that, my name is Ben, and this is my channel, Houndoom's House, where we talk all things Pokemon, buying, selling, grading, and collecting. And if you enjoyed today's video, please make sure to leave a comment on what you think of all of this, and last but not least, subscribe for more content like this. But that being said, let's jump right into it. All right. So my first theory that I have regarding all of this and, whatever could happen as a result is that CGC is going to freeze their bulk in economy tiers within the next month. I think if you look at the volume of grading that PSA does, especially how much of that is probably within those value, standard, bulk tiers, whatever you want to call them, CGC is going to see a massive spike in their grading volume. And even though they're a larger grading company and they can currently handle, 400 to 500,000 graded cards a month, I think the volume that is going to have to fall somewhere as a result of PSA freezing their more accessible tiers is going to all go to CGC. There's just nowhere else for it to go, especially when you think of things like mystery slab packs that kind of have a lot of junk slabs. Those people who grade those have to get those graded at a lower cost, and the only reasonable thing left to get things back in probably a decent grade is going to be CGC. Now, when TAG froze their grading tiers, they're only grading 40,000 cards a month. So let's say even 25% of those people actually went somewhere else. I mean, that's 10,000 cards. PSA is doing 1 million cards a month. CGC is doing 400 to 500,000 a month. That's just a little dent to them, right? So that's not really a big impact, and that's why I don't think anything changed there. But because PSA is going to, let's say 10% of PSA's 1 million cards a month have to go somewhere else, right? And those people go to CGC. That's assuming that 900,000 people grading, not 900,000 people, but a bunch of people that are grading 900,000 collective cards, they're not sending them in anywhere. So we're saying that just this 10% of PSA's volume goes to CGC. That's a 20% increase for them. That's pretty significant. So I would imagine that CGC is going to have to shut it down too, just like PSA did, just like TAG did, because as all of these grading companies start to freeze that, things are just going to go to less and less and less places. And CGC is kind of the last place available for that. I don't think a lot of people are grading junk slabs with Beckett. So CGC is really the only option left. They're already getting plenty. They're already at capacity. I've got several subs there that are behind. So I'm well aware of their current limitations. And I think now that PSA is going to be, the largest grading company is going to be having their volume shift elsewhere, I think it's only a matter of time. They already updated the turnaround times for their stuff right after the PSA announcement yesterday. So I can only think that they're just going to have to shut it down too. All right. My second theory is that now that PSA has announced that they're going to be freezing their more accessible grading tiers, that the premium on PSA slabs is actually going to increase even further. The reason that I say this is over the last, I want to say 2 to 3 months, I feel personally as an online seller, I have noticed that the gap between PSA 10s and let's say TAG 10 and CGC Pristine 10 seems to be growing significantly. And it's PSA taking an even bigger lead. I've sold probably 125, 150 TAG slabs over the last year or so on my eBay store. And I'm going to say it. I think people will disagree, but I'm not trying to say this as statement that is entirely true or generalization. I'm just trying to say that this is my experience. But when I get chase cards, modern chase cards in a tag 10, I usually am able to sell those on eBay for near PSA 10 comps without problem. Occasionally a card might just lag behind a little bit, and that happens. But for the most part, I can sell a modern chase for the almost 100% of a PSA 10 comp. Haven't had an issue with it, but I started to notice it in about March with some cards from Mega Evolution. I just noticed that, like, especially it was like a Mega Latias EX, like they were just lagging behind a little bit by like $40, I would say. We're talking like 230 for a tag 10 versus 270 for a PSA 10. And I started to notice that happening. And I hadn't had that issue before. And I also saw this with some CGC Pristine 10s just out there that I was looking at. I've actually got one myself. It's a Zekrom Pristine 10, the monochrome from Black Bolt. And that one's lagging behind as well. I've noticed that the PSA 10s are at like 2,000, sometimes the 1,900, 2,000. And I've got a Pristine 10, which I thought, you know, would be 10 to 20% higher than a PSA 10. I've got it listed for 2,000. It's been on my store for a while, and it just doesn't seem like anybody wants it. So I started to notice that happening. And, you know, all I could think was, man, people are really still bought into PSA, and that's fine. Like, PSA's been around. I'm not here to argue like, oh, PSA sucks, you should go to a different company. I just don't use PSA because I can't do the turnaround times. I want to churn and burn, and I cannot do that at all with PSA. But they are established. They're very reputable. They've been around forever. So I get the credibility. I absolutely do. And the thing is, people buy into that for sure. I've even got PSA slabs on my desk, you know? They're definitely reputable, but like people are still really, really buying in, even after some controversy over the last 6 months, let's call it, and some price increases and estimated turnaround time increases. So, you know, kind of thinking of it from that like culture perspective of like what people view PSA as, I could absolutely see people saying, well, you know, now PSA is actually harder to get because the barrier to entry is so much higher that people put more of a premium on it because it seems like more of a premium exclusive product because it costs more to get a card in there. And I think this might really impact some modern chases over the summer. If they're shut down that entire summer, like it's going to be a lot harder for someone to send in, you know, like the Darkrai from Pitch Black, right? Like that's going to be a lot harder to get back into PSA. You're going to have to pay more to grade it. The time's going to take longer. When that gets back, that might be worth a lot more because of that. So that's another theory I've got, is just that those PSA premiums are going to go up. And I mean, they might even, who knows, we might even see raw 9 or, you know, PSA 9s like go above the price of raw, which they're probably already doing that. I don't buy a lot of PSA 9s personally, so I'm not paying too much attention. But I mean, we could see that as well. All right. And my third and final theory is that we have seen the end of a true value grading tier. When I say that, I mean, I kind of use value loosely. I mean, anything, you know, where you can pay a lower price and get them back in a reasonable amount of time. I think after all of this, after the dust settles, I think there's a chance, if the Pokemon hobby is still lightning hot like it is right now, that the value tier becomes, you know, I don't know, $35 a card with 45-day turnaround. I think that will be like the lowest barrier to entry option at that point. I just think that the amount of junk slabs out there, it's just putting a lot of stress on the systems that these people or that these companies have in place. And I think that as long as that exists, as long as those really accessible grading tiers exist where someone can send in a regular EX and only be, you know, on like maybe a dealership kind of relationship, like they can only be 10 to 15 bucks in on each of those and sell them on Whatnot for 20. I think as long as that exists, it's going to stress the companies it's going to put everything they have at max capacity, and it's going to cause issues. So I do think that there could be a shift in all of this where we see the lowest entry point being something that's a little more expensive and a little more time. We saw PSA make a pretty big shift in that direction already. I can't imagine that TAG's going to come back and have magically expanded their company and their, processing capability in a couple months, to support $20 bulk or something like that. And it looks like CGC just keeps pushing theirs back and back. I think it's going to be, it's either going to be they don't exist. If they do exist, it's going to be really cheap, and it's going to take a really long time to get back. Like kind of like PSA's current value bulk. Well, I can't remember what it was, like 25 business days or $25 for 120 business days or something. Like, that's kind of my thought. Like, I think that will be the new standard. Earlier this year, I was sending stuff into CGC at economy, and it was $20, $18 or $20, and it was a 20 business day turnaround time. Like, I think we are at the end of that for sure. I think until at least the hobby calms down, if it ever does, I don't think we're going to be able to get anything like that anymore. So I think that barrier to entry is just going to get higher. I'm hoping that it will push away some of that junk slab volume coming in, because listen, whatever company you use, I think we can all agree that the junk slab thing is definitely making this worse. It is absolutely contributing to the issue. When you look at some of the things that people are grading for whatnot, or mystery slab bags or something like that, it's crazy stuff. It's just like anything goes, and the volume is so high. So that's absolutely contributing to someone like yourself or myself, who might just be trying to send in cards on a regular frequency and with a regular volume, So that's kind of it. Those are my three things that I think we might see coming down the pipeline in terms of changes to the grading landscape that have occurred, just as a result of everything going on right now. It seems like in the last 3 months, I've been grading a lot the last year and a half, and it feels like the last 3 months have really just the plates under my feet have shifted, and I'm trying to figure out my strategy of how I'm going to grade now. So I just keep sending things in anyway. I guess just keep it going. I'll get them back eventually. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I would love to know what you think about those theories right there. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have any that I did not cover here? Only time will tell what happens with all of this grading stuff. So we'll wait it out, and we'll come back here in a few months and see if any of it actually happened. But thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day, and I will talk to you on the next one. Peace.